The warehouse looked the same, but it felt wrong. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead as volunteers served food in near silence. Gospel music played too softly, like it was afraid to be heard. Coffee sat untouched, and the people who came seeking mercy kept glancing at the exits. Something had shifted. Pastor Jekyll moved through the room with a sharpness no one recognized. His patience was gone. His warmth had thinned to something brittle. When he spoke, it wasn't comfort anymore. It was judgment. This wasn't a sermon. It was a sentence. He told them grace was not kindness. Grace was suffering. Grace was submission. And if they were still here, still broken, maybe God hadn't deemed them worthy of freedom yet. Faces in the crowd tightened. Confusion turned to fear. The warehouse stopped feeling like a sanctuary and started feeling like a battlefield. Utterson watched from the side, his stomach twisting. This was not the man he had followed, not the pastor he had trusted. Later, in the quiet of the office, Utterson tried to speak gently. He told Jekyll he sounded different, tired, strained. Pastor Jekyll held a glass of red wine, staring into it like it held answers. He said the nights were bleeding into the mornings now. Utterson suggested rest, prayer, stepping away. Pastor Jekyll's expression hardened. God talks to me just fine. Utterson left the room, knowing something sacred had broken, and whatever stood in its place wasn't asking to be saved. Back in the warehouse, Jekyll returned to the front. His jacket hung loose. His beard was uneven. His eyes burned like embers struggling to stay alive. He shouted about hidden sins, about skeletons in closets, about basements full of forgotten things. His words spiraled, climbing higher and higher until they no longer sounded human. And then someone spoke back. Clarence, old, tired, shaking, shouted what everyone else was thinking. That ain't no preacher. That's a demon. Something surged behind Jekyll's face. He roared that he was the voice in the wilderness, that he spoke for God, that they had no right to judge him. The room erupted, tables overturned, people screamed, and in the chaos, whatever had been hiding inside Pastor Jekyll pushed closer to the surface. Then, suddenly, he was gone. He fled into the night, swallowed by darkness, and the warehouse fell silent again, as if it had exhaled after holding its breath for too long. Utterson stayed behind. In the aftermath, he searched the office. Drawers, files, records that never made sense before suddenly lined up too well. Money transfers, a name that kept appearing. Mr. Hyde, payments marked as purification rites. Utterson followed the trail until it led him somewhere it never should have. Behind scripture plaques, behind shelves no one touched, down a narrow passage hidden behind a Bible. That's where he found Ruby, alive, but barely. Her eyes opened when he whispered her name. Fear flickered, then relief. She tried to speak, but her voice failed her, and then the growl came from behind him. Hyde stepped out of the shadows. Not fully man, not fully monster. Something twisted by faith that had rotted from the inside out. Hyde smiled, not with hatred, but ownership. Utterson tried to stand his ground, and that's when it happened. The line between Jekyll and Hyde collapsed. They twisted together, bone and breath and belief grinding against each other. Not a clean transformation, but a violent merging, like a soul tearing itself apart and begging to be whole at the same time. Voices overlapped, possession and prayer, condemnation and confession, grace and fire. When it was over, only one body remained. Pastor Jekyll lay on the floor, alive, broken, sobbing. Hyde was gone, not destroyed, but absorbed, folded back into the man who had fed him for so long. Ruby was freed. She didn't look back. In the days that followed, the warehouse reopened, quieter now, humbled. Utterson stood behind the pulpit, speaking not of monsters, but of men, of King David, of broken hearts, of how faith without humility becomes cruelty. People listened, not with fear, but recognition. Some wounds looked familiar. Pastor Jekyll was taken away in handcuffs. When the officer told him he was going to prison, Jekyll smiled, strange and peaceful. I guess I'm not a pastor anymore. As the car door closed, he began humming a hymn about better days. His laughter crept beneath it, soft, almost joyful. He believed he was free, but freedom earned through fire always leaves scars. Because Hyde wasn't something that came from nowhere. He was something that had been invited in. And the most dangerous monsters don't hide in the dark. They hide behind pulpits. They hide behind good intentions. They hide behind grace, until grace has nothing left to give. And somewhere, in the quiet spaces between prayer and pride, Hyde is still listening. Subscribe to Kevin Frasure Horror Writer on Substack for the full story.